Right now, Margaret of Austria is feeling metal spikes pierced through her skull as her own sister turns the screw tighter. The pain is nothing compared to the betrayal. Her mother designed this device specifically for her daughter's anatomy. Her sister volunteered, operated in the next 16 minutes. You'll discover why 3 different torture methods were created exclusively to break women's minds, not their bodies. You'll see buried Vatican documents that prove this wasn't random medieval crescent. This was systemic psychological warfare that modern governments still use today. But first, if you're someone who can handle the brutal truth they don't want you to know, hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see power, control, and the hidden history they've spent centuries burying. Margaret isn't just any victim. She's the daughter of Maximilian, Holy Roman Emperor. This torture session is happening in 1487 in the royal palace. The woman turning the screws, her own sister Isabella, following their mother's precise instructions. Every twist calculated, every documented, every moment of psychological destruction carefully planned by the woman who gave birth to her. You're watching the systemic creation of trauma so deep it rewires a human brain. And this is just the beginning. Let me put you in that turn chamber. Right now, you hear Margaret's fingernails scraping against cold stone as she tries to find something, anything, to anchor herself to reality. The smell of fear, sweat mixes with expensive incense burning in the corner. Your knees ache. Methodical clicking of metal against bone. Click, pause, click, pause. Her sister is. This is calculated, systematic destruction of a human soul. Heinrich Kramer, yes, the same man who wrote the Malleus Maleficarum, recorded every moment when a psychological defense is cracked and reformed. But here's what chills me to the bone. Margaret survived, and 3 months later, she personally requested that the same. The victim became the perpetrator. This wasn't just torture. This was manufacturing psychological weapons, using human beings as raw material. The Margaret story is just the surface, because what I found in those buried archives reveals something that makes individual torture look merciful. A coordinated network of mothers, sisters, and daughters systematically. Brilliant innovation. Right now, I want you to imagine your mother sitting at a desk, carefully sketching the perfect device to destroy your mind, not your body. Maximum psychological impact with minimal physical evidence. That's exactly what Countess Isabella of Castile did in 1483 when she deleted what court records call the daughter's crown picture. This device, locked around your skull, spiked metal that tightens based on your own movements, struggle, and it pierces deeper into your scalp. Stay perfectly still, and the weight slowly. Diabolical genius. It only activates when you speak without permission. Put yourself in 15-year-old Alina's position right now. You're wearing your mother's gift. Every word you speak, tit, the crown. Every breath you take without permission brings a metal closer to your brain. How long before you simply break? Your mother is watching, smiling, taking notes on your progress. Elena lasted 11 days. By day 3, she begged her mother to make the crown tighter. She had been completely reprogrammed, but Isabella wasn't working alone. Based on documents I found in 7 different royal, identical torture protocols, identical documentation methods, mothers across Europe systematically breaking their daughters using the same techniques, recording the results and sharing improvements with each other. This was medieval psychological research and development. You think maternal betrayal is the darkest? Wait until you see what the church officially sanctioned for rebellious wives, because what Isabella created in private, Pope Innocent affected for public entertainment, and the record show thousands of women cheering as their neighbors were systematically destroyed. In 1491, Pope Innocent issued papal bull, Sum is Desiderate, not the famous witch-hunting one, but a classified version, authorizing public correction. Germany's for women who defied male authority. What happened next makes medieval witch trials look like mercy killings. They called it the penitence. Embrace a device that forced women into prayer position while slowly crushing their ribcage. But he is the psychological warfare genius. Victims were required to thank God for the pain while their own community watched and cheered. Wait, stop everything. I need to show you something that just sent literal chills down my spine. I can see. But if you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who wants unfiltered historical truth. Hit subscribe, because next week I'm exposing how these exact torture methods being used in modern corporate training programs, and that video will probably get age restricted for researching these public ceremonies. I found something in the Vatican secret archives that changes everything. These weren't punishments. Extreme psychological torture while maintaining absolute loyalty to their torturers. Women who passed the penitence embrace were recruited into something called the Silent Sisterhood, book of female enforcers who designed and operated torture devices for other women. Brother Thomas of a King of Recorded One ceremony. In explicit detail, the woman Marius spoke. Thus, I thank the Lord for this correction. Ceremony. 6 months later, she was designing improvements. They were manufacturing the perfect psychological weapons against. What are the women? But none of this compares to what I found sealed in the archives of Monastery San Damiano, because what the church was doing publicly was nothing compared to their private experiments, and the evidence suggests this program you never actually ended hidden in a bricktop chamber beneath Monastery San Damiano. Archaeologists in 2019 found something that should not exist in our reality. Detailed engineering blueprints of 47 different torture devices, all designed specifically for female anatomy, all dated between 14,941,523, all written with technical specifications that wouldn't be invented for another 300 years, is what makes this impossible to believe. Mathematical precision, engineering specifications, using decimal systems the church wouldn't adopt until 1582. Stress load calculations that wouldn't be possible until the invention of advanced metallurgy. Carbon dating confirms the paper is from the 1490s, but the ink contains synthetic compounds not invented until the 1600s. Either we are looking at time travel, or someone was. Human behavioral modification. But the blueprints were just the beginning. They found 23 leather-bound journals documenting efficiency improvements across generations. Different handwriting spanning centuries, all focused on one goal: maximum psychological trauma with minimal physical evidence. Listen to this entry, dated 1521, subject 847, achieved complete personality reformation in 6 days using the modified crown with maternal voice. Recording recommend implementation across all European facilities. Subject 847. Not a name, a number that was A. These methods being systematically refined through the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, even into the Industrial Age. The last entry is dated 1847. American facilities report successful. Behavioral modification achieved in 72% of subjects. Within 1 week, they were perfecting mind-controlled technique centuries before psychology was even recognized as a science. 84. Whose suffering was cataloged like scientific data. Each number represents a human being who is systematically broken and rebuilt according to someone else's design. But what is the real conspiracy? Why were these archives sealed? Who ordered them hidden? And why does evidence suggests this research continued in secret long after the medieval period officially ended in 1902? Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Amlito issued a classified directive that should terrify you all. Materials related to Project Silentium must be transferred to secure facilities, and never. 500 years of systematic torture research. But here's where this gets absolutely terrifying. Those secure facilities weren't museums, or 196,319 show the Vatican transferred these torture research materials to psychological warfare departments in 6 different countries, including the United States. CIA documents from 1975 explicitly reference historical interrogation methods and feminine behavioral modification techniques derived from ecclesiastical sources they were using. Forensic psychologist at Stanford analyzed the San Damiano blueprints in 2020 2020. A conclusion should keep you. Trauma-based mind control that exceeds current psychological knowledge. Someone was conducting systematic research into human behavioral modification centuries before we had the scientific framework to understand what they were doing. But here's what makes me question everything. These techniques work. Studies of modern culture, programming, abusive relationship patterns, and authoritarian control methods all show striking similarities to the medieval torture protocols. The psychology of breaking and rebuilding human personalities hasn't changed. Why hide this history? Because it reveals something terrifying about human nature that systematic psychological too isn't an ancient relic. It's a refined science that operates in plain sight today. Social media algorithms designed to create anxiety and dependence. Corporate training programs that break down individual identity even. Open therapeutic techniques that restructure personality. The fingerprints of medieval torture psychology are all over modern behavioral modification. So ask yourself right now, in a world where psychological manipulation has been refined over 500 years, how do you know which of your thoughts are actually your own? How do you know when you're making choices versus following programming that was designed centuries ago? San Damiano archives contain 1.297 pages of torture research. Archaeologists have translated only 23 pages. What's in the remaining 1,224 pages? We may never know, because in 2021, the Vatican announced the remaining documents were damaged beyond recovery. The mysterious fire that investigators couldn't explain. But here's what haunts me. If they destroyed the evidence, what are they still trying to hide? And why did 3 different archaeologists working on this project resign within months of each other, all citing? Next week, I'm investigating something even more disturbing evidence that these exact behavioral modification techniques are being used in Fortune 500 corporate training programs right now. The rabbit hole gets deeper and the connections get more terrifying. If this opened your eyes to the buried truth of history, you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Share this video because knowledge this dangerous shouldn't stay hidden, and comment below. What are the civilized institutions do you think are hiding similar secrets? But be careful what you say. Some truths are more dangerous than others. Trust nothing. Question everything. And remember, the most effective prison is the one you don't know.